Today we're going to talk about budgeting and banking. So a lot of what you hear will be definitions. Why would a person even need to budget one's money? Well, there's this old saying that comes from a country song that there's too much month at the end of your money. Well, if you've ever said there's too much month at the end of your paycheck and not enough money to go around, then you need to seriously consider telling your money where to go. Financial advisors say that you have to tell your money how to work for you, or it's very easy for it to slip away dollar by dollar. So that way we're not just working for money. A budget can be something written down on paper, typed in a spreadsheet, or even an app or a program. You see on the screen several websites, but many of these websites also have apps that you can now use on your smartphone to help out with budgeting. Now, here are some percentages about budgeting that you may have heard. A person should never spend more than about a fourth, which is 25%, on their monthly rent or house payment. A person normally spends about 15% of their overall gross income on utilities such as lights, power, water, and gas. A car note, including your gas and insurance, should only take up about 20% max of your income. Many people are car poor, which means their car notes are causing a financial strain on their budget. Food and eating out should comprise about 6 to 15% of your overall income. And last, it's said that a good rule of thumb is if you make 80% go around on the spending and the bills, while you save 10% to put back for emergencies and even give 10% away to charities. Did you know that the average monthly new car and truck payment from Cars.com and MSNBC has been found in this past year to be $523? Now, if a person makes $25,000 a year and we divide that by 12 months, then the monthly salary is $2,083.33. Now remember, no more than 20% of one's salary or income should be used on a new car or truck payment. So let's find 20% of our monthly salary to see if we can really afford this new car or truck. So 0.20 times $2,083.33 is equal to $416.67. Oops, that 523 is a bit much for us. Our car note needs to stay in this range. If you keep these percentages and ranges in mind when you make purchases, it will cause your life to be a lot easier and more ordered because your budget flows better. Now let's talk about some financial terminology. There are two different types of interest that we'll look at, and that's simple interest and compound interest. In this simple interest, the formula, the P, stands for the principal or the money that you would borrow. The rate is the R, that's the interest rate. And the T is time, and that time is given in years. The I stands for the interest that you owe or would be paid. However, the compound interest formula looks much more involved because it is. The P is still the principal. The R is still the interest rate, so that will be a percentage. The T is still the time given in years. And the A, though, is what we call the accumulated amount. The accumulated amount is actually the principal plus the interest combined. Notice there's also the letter N. Both of these letters N represent the number of compoundings per year. You may have heard that interest is compounded quarterly. That's 4 times a year. Annually would be once a year. Here are the standard compound interest periods. Annual would be N equals 1 because it's once a year. If your interest is compounded bi or semi-annual, you let N equal 2 in that formula. If it's quarterly, you let N equal 4, and monthly, N would equal 12 in the compound interest formula. If it's daily, then most banks will use N equals 365. Most credit card companies do compound their interest daily in order to earn the most interest on their money. Now let's look at some definitions. What is a stock? Stocks are shares of ownership in a company. This is where you get the stock market from. A capital gain is profit earned when you sell your stock, whereas a dividend is profit that's distributed to shareholders while you continue to own that stock. However, a bond, such as a savings bond, is when you are lending money to the company. How would you read a stock market ledger? Here you will see a stock market ledger where we have a 52-week high and low. Those are the one-year averages. Next would come the stock, and that's the name of the company. Next would come the symbol. This is the ABC company. Then you will be given the dividend paid per share and the yield percent that is. PE stands for profit to earning ratio, and that is used when calculating certain stock option amounts. VOL stands for volume. That's how many stocks were sold yesterday, and that stands for hundreds. So in this example, there would have been 591,500, 591,500 stocks were sold yesterday. The next high and low that are abbreviated would be yesterday's high and low selling price for this particular stock, and it closed out at the end of the day at $54.23, which was a net change from the previous day of $1.33. So that person's stock earned them $1.33 on this given day. Now, as far as investments go, a person's financial portfolio is simply a listing of all of one's investments. Be sure that your portfolio is diversified. It should have low risk and high risk investments to maximize your interest and the money that you earn. Don't forget though, your net worth is what you own minus what you owe. A person's net worth can be negative if they have more bills than items that they actually have owned and have paid for. And last but not least, everyone can eventually become a millionaire. A millionaire is simply a person with a net worth of $1 million or more. The more you pay off your bills and start accumulating items, the quicker your net worth will grow. Now, about growing your net worth, a mutual fund is used a lot of times by people who don't want to be in the risky stock market. Mutual funds are not as risky because these are a group of stocks or bonds, and they are managed by a professional. Another way to make your money grow for you is an individual retirement account. You can have a Roth IRA in which you pay small taxes up front, but you can withdraw that money at 59.5 with no taxes on any of the earnings. However, a traditional IRA is something we call a tax-deferred savings for income tax purposes. So you can still withdraw it at 59.5, but you must pay taxes on the deposit and the money earned. You've probably heard of a 401k or a 403b. These are employer-sponsored retirement plans. However, a Roth or traditional IRA can be owned and gotten from a bank or investment company by the individual. It doesn't matter where you work. to get one of those. Now, the rule of 72 is how long it would take for your money to double. Let's say you're getting paid 12% interest on some account. So I would take 72 divided by 12%, and that gives me 6, which would mean 6 years for my money to double. Rule of 72 is used for many banks. Another way to earn money and to earn interest on your money is an investment called an annuity. Annuity is simply a sequence of equal payments that are made at equal time periods. Some people set up an annuity to use what's called the future value formula, which is this very involved formula you see here. Let's say you wanted to save $500 a month in order to own your own business down the line. This would tell you how many years you would have to save that $500 a month until you had earned enough interest and had enough equity to buy that business. Home ownership is another way to have higher net worth. If a person can own their own home, then that is a big part of their investment portfolio. Now, to own a home, most people don't have the money to go pay for it out front, so they take what's called a mortgage. A mortgage is a long-term installment loan. Most mortgages are called 30-year loans or 30-year mortgages. However, there are 15-year loans which are less interest, and even 5- and 10-year loans. Down payment is the portion of the house's sale price that you have to pay up front before you even start paying the first house payment. The principal is the amount of money that you finance at your mortgage company or bank. Escrow. Escrow is an extra amount of money that a certain lender requires you to pay them. They hold this in a special separate account to pay your real estate taxes and insurance. Whenever your lender requires escrow, that does normally increase your monthly house payment. The interest payment is the amount of interest that is paid on the principal. Amortization. Amortization is a series of regular payments, and that is how most mortgages are set up. They're set up so that your monthly payment includes more interest up front. So even if you pay your mortgage off early, the bank tends to get most of its interest back. Using plastic. Credit and debit cards are many times linked, or they go along with the idea of a checking account or a savings account. Now, a checking account is what we call a bank account that is liquid. It is money that you can quickly spend. You can spend it by writing a paper check or using your debit card. A savings account is an account put in a bank or company that's more of an investment. These accounts are paying you interest each month. Now, a debit card is that plastic card that's linked to either your checking or savings account. So whenever you make a purchase with a debit card, it comes out of your own account. You can be overdrawn and charge extra money if you spend more than your account has. However, a credit card is a plastic card owned by a particular company like Visa or American Express. When you make a purchase using their plastic cards, you are actually borrowing their money at a stated interest rate, and you have to pay them back with interest. A credit report is simply a listing of all your personal information with credit accounts that are open and closed, public record information, collection agencies that may have had to get involved, and even inquiries about your credit. These reports normally assign a score called a FICO score. A FICO score is a credit score that ranges from 300 to 850, and they're used by credit bureaus such as Transperian and Equifax. The FICO score looks like this. Normally, a person with a higher FICO score will get better interest rates when they go to purchase that new car, truck, or house. But the people with the low FICO scores may not even get their interest and their loans. They may be denied a loan for a car or truck or house, and they may not get the best interest rates. So it's always good to try to have a high FICO score. I hope this helps you understand a little more about budgeting and banking.